Welcome back and thank you for joining the show. Now we move straight ahead to our interactive segment, which is our phone-in segment. The numbers will be displayed on your screen. You can call us in. You can also send us a WhatsApp message. And this morning, we're going to turn to a topic that goes straight to the heart of governance, federalism and the balance of power in Nigeria. Emergency rule. Should the president have such powers over state governors? Now, throughout Nigeria's history, the declaration of a state of emergency has been a tool used by presidents to address a security crisis, civil unrest, or political instability in the state. From the military era to the democratic dispensation, emergency powers have often sparked intense debate. In the past, leaders such as General Sani Abacha, President Olusegun Obasanjo, and President Goodluck Jonathan have invoked emergency rule in states to tackle insurgencies, violent clashes, or political crises, sometimes drawing praise for restoring order, other times facing criticism for overstepping constitutional boundaries. Now, the latest development in this ongoing debate is the Supreme Court's recent judgment backing President Bola Tinubu's emergency declaration in Rivers State, a decision that has reignited questions about the extent of presidential authority. Supporters argue that such powers are necessary to restore law and order when state governments fail to act, while critics warn it could undermine the autonomy of elected governors and upset the delicate balance of federalism in Nigeria. This morning, we want to hear from you, our viewers, as we discuss the merits, dangers, and implications of emergency rule in Nigeria. Should the president have sweeping powers over state governors in times of crisis, or does this risk concentrating too much authority in the center? Pick up your phone, join the conversation, and share your thoughts. The numbers are displayed on your screen. If you can get through to us, do well to send us a WhatsApp message, and your messages will be read out live on the show. Hauwa, when you saw this declaration, what came to your mind?
The declaration of the emergency rule or
Yes.
the judgment by the Supreme Court? Well, when it comes to the declaration of the emergency, state of emergency in Rivers State, it depends on the motive. It depends on the trajectory. Is it politically motivated?
Good morning, my brother. How are you? Adi from London.
Good morning, Adi.
Good
Thank
morning,
you for calling
Adi.
in.
Good morning. Hauwa, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Adi.
To me, don't let us look at the president, Bola Tinubu. Let's look at the presidency, so that we can give a good objective. To me, I agree with the Supreme Court. They have the right and the power. The president has the power to declare state of emergency. Why do I say so? If there's a war or going on in, for example, like that River State, he can declare state of emergency without removing the governor or the assembly. But when two arms of government are fighting, it's very dangerous. The governor is fighting the house is fighting the governor. The best bet is to suspend both of them, so that anarchy will not prevail. So that is the best thing to do. So we can't compare with other parts that state of emergency have been declared before. This is totally different. Two arms of government are fighting, and they don't want to calm down. And that's one of the places Nigeria gets its money from, or their revenue. So we have to be cautious and apply the brakes. If husband and wife are fighting and beating themselves, the neighbor will come. They will separate them. They will take the men will take the husband to their house, so that things can cool down. That's emergency. They declare on their marriage. So this thing is very important. But what I'm advising the president to do now is to declare a state of emergency or whatever, federal emergency on corruption. That is what is causing the problem. Every problem in Nigeria is corruption that is causing it. So they should declare state of emergency or federal emergency, whatever they want to call it, on corruption. You are telling us this morning that what Bagudu said about somebody. I read it already. That if the man can spend $6 million in Switzerland to send his 4 children here, $6 million. And he said, Bagudu said that man is one of the advocates of Sharia law. But he sent his children to Switzerland to be enjoying having a good life. And why 6 million? Don't you know what that can do in Nigeria? It can set up a health center. So they should declare state of emergency on corruption so that our country can be better. God bless you. Good morning.
Good morning, Ade. Good morning, Ade. Thank you for calling
Thank
in
you very
and
much,
sharing your
Ade, for
thoughts.
that.
Hauwa, sorry, I think I need to reframe my questions. Do you think that the president should have, sweeping powers over state governors in times of crisis, being that the state governors are being, elected by the people? What is your take on that?
When there is a crisis, there needs to be a resolution, and someone at the top needs to be the one to be able to bring a resolve to the crisis that is going on. And with a state like Rivers State, it is quite important to understand that peace is very important there, aside from the amount of revenue that it does bring to the country, but the volatility of the place as well. And looking at it, I believe it is not without reason that a president would declare a state of emergency in a state when there isn't a resolution, when the government will not be able, the state government will not be able to function properly and healthily in making sure that the state moves on to better heights. Then absolutely the president has every right to declare a state of emergency.
Most especially when there is, like you rightly stated, when there are issues surrounding insecurity and the lives and properties of people in that state. All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts as well. So the phone lines are still open and the numbers are displayed on your screen. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, this is Michael.
Good morning, Michael.
Yes,
Kindly go ahead.
From George. To answer your question, the answer is no. The president should not have a sweeping power. But should there be a state of emergency in the advent of crisis? The answer is, well, each case, the Supreme Court should look at it on its merit. But talking particularly about Port Harcourt, the case of Rivers State was not a classical example. It was a manufactured problem with interest by the power that be. So Port Harcourt was not a classical example that warrants that action. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Maybe I'd like to point something out, that one thing Nigerians have become used to is being skeptical about every situation, even if that situation is legitimate. You understand? And looking at it, because of track records that we've had in the past, we always have to question the motives of whatever does happen. And looking at it, Nigerians would feel like, okay, even as the president, you shouldn't have total power in being able to do what the president just did. But a lot will say that it might be politically motivated. Others would say it is for the greater good, of the people.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add that, because if you look at, statements and critics will argue, most especially when it has to do with, the governors of the states, they will argue that Nigeria is a federal system. So, like I said initially, governors are being elected by the people. But then when there is an issue in that state, critics are saying that why not let the governor of that state, since he is the leader of that state and he was being elected by the people, why not allow him, but give him all the support that he needs coming into, declare a state of emergency like Rivers State, for example. A lot of critics came out to debate that,
due process was
not followed, and all of that. So when we see cases like this, and like you rightly said, the president as the president of a country, when there is an issue in the states that, the states in the country that you're leading, it is only logical for you to step in. You understand?
But one thing about conflict resolution, there has to be a third party to be able to resolve that conflict. We have another caller
on the line. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Chijoke and I'm calling from Musuka.
Good morning, Chijoke.
Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, well, if the president has the power to declare state of emergency, yes. Not when it is politically motivated. You know, if there is crisis and a threat to the nation's security, you know, the president has the power to declare state of emergency. But the problem is that we tend to politicize most things in this country. We are not objective. Our leaders play politics with every single thing. Okay? Like someone earlier said, the Port Harcourt issue wasn't a classical example and shouldn't be, you know, a parameter for measuring the desirability or otherwise of the presidency to declare a state of emergency in a state. And moreover, the governor is an executive governor elected by the people of the state, and the president has no powers to remove a democratically elected governor, you know, because people are trying to get some of these things mixed up. There wasn't really a serious threat to security in Rivers State. Some people who felt that power resides with them were trying to, you know, generate unnecessary crisis just to get at the governor. And the president latched on it to declare state of emergency, which shouldn't be. I mean, there are other things that could have
All right, we lost that caller. Now, Maimuna, looking at the basics when it comes to state of emergencies, now, according to the book, declaring a state of emergency is only for severe crises like war, invasion, terrorism, and major civil unrest, or for large-scale natural disasters, allowing temporary extraordinary powers to restore security, public order, and governance, or when normal functions fail, often to protect citizens and the state's existence. Now, according to this, do you think that it aligns with the reasons behind River State was put on emergency rule?
Hauwa, remember we have a constitution. Let me start from there. And the Nigerian constitution in section 305 of the 99 constitution gives the president power to declare a state of emergency. But however, there is, you know, a declaration must be sent to the National Assembly.
Absolutely.
And it
Which
only
was
becomes
the due
valid,
process that was
and it
said
only
was not
becomes valid
followed.
if it is being approved by the National Assembly within a specified time. Or a specific or specified time, excuse me. But when you look at the issue that happened in River State, remember there was
solid minerals
on the oil pipelines. And that is, you know, one, I would not say that is one of our major income revenue as a country. But then when that is being attacked and the lives of people
are at stake,
the properties of people are at stake, it is only normal for the president to step in. And being that the constitution...
Go ahead, I have a question.
But being that the constitution has stated it clearly that the president has the right, but then, like we said...
There are stipulations to it, absolutely.
In due process, it has to go through the National Assembly. The National Assembly has to, you know, approve it and what have you. And that is why Nigerians and people are still saying that the emergency rule in River State was politically motivated, because when you look at it, due process was not followed according to critics and Nigerians. But then we have another caller on the line before you ask your
my question. Yes.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Bamna Nelson. I'm calling from Jos.
Thank you for calling
in. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes. About the emergency rule, I think if it's enshrined in the Constitution, the president should have the power to avoid governors, especially in cases where the situation is overwhelming the governor in the state. You know, like your colleague was rightly saying, sometimes there are some security issues that need to be taken care of by the president, especially when it's becoming something else. The lives of the people are more important. And you know, sometimes you know, when these governors have this power, some of them tend to use them to their own advantage, you understand, especially when the people that are actually suffering from these things happen to be from a region that never voted for the governor. So now the president can step in and, you know, create that state of emergency or impose that state of emergency. And then you can see what happened during Goodluck Jonathan's era, where the whole Northeast was under state of emergency. That was to tackle the insurgency issue back then. And then what happened in Rivers State, at least it doused the situation, even though some people were saying it was this, it was that. But then at the end of the day, if you look at the lives and properties were saved, as far as that was concerned. So I think it's within the president power. Why not? State of emergency is okay. Thank you very much. You guys should have a nice day.
All right,
thank you for calling in. Please, before you ask your question.
It is related to what you just said.
Okay.
Now, back to what you made mention of, it depends on the state of that particular, I would say, state, right? But at the end of the day, looking at things that I'm sort of deviating to other aspects when it comes to this in relation to the emergency rule. When it comes to other states, we've seen things that happen. We've seen people devastated. We've seen insecurity. We've seen people displaced, lives and properties at stake. But we still have not seen that kind of thing, you know, go on in other states, calling for an emergency rule, a state of emergency.
We have Shetima.
Let's take Shetima calling
Good morning,
from
Shetima. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Maimuna. Good morning, Hauwa. Good morning, Trust TV family. Good morning, Nigeria. This is Shetima Yakudiwa calling from Maiduguri.
Good morning, Shetima. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you. About the emergency rule. Well, honestly speaking, this is you know, it is very, very confusing. Why did I say so? Because you see, these governors, they have a lot of powers. And sometimes political issue will raise up, tension will be escalated, and which will even show it was he tried to consume the state. And they say president doesn't have power to step in as a state of emergency. And they say a due process have to follow. You have to take it to the Senate and National House of Assembly. You see, to me, the way I look at it, delay will come in, and by the time in the crisis issue, action is required, emergency action. And when these two houses, you know, most of the members in the houses, they are friends to the governors. They know each other. They cannot make a past judgment in order to cool down the tension that was that was happening in the state. In such cases, a lot of people, they will fall victim, and also wealth or properties will be lost. You see, something needs to be done, because this is a lacuna in the constitution. Something needs to be done. They have to they have to sit down and think a way out. If not, because honestly speaking, look at what happened in the rivers. Then we see wonders, but God, which is mercy, have quelled that fire in the river state. So we are calling for the concerned body to think ahead, to think a better solution to this crisis. But even though we are praying such a things not to happen again, because governors they are enjoying much power beyond your expectation. 99 Constitution has given them unlimited power. We want that power to be checkmate and addressed, so that our country will rule smoothly. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much,
for
calling
for
in
that.
and sharing your thoughts. I like the fact that you're asking that question, being that we have seen a lot of the insecurity issues going on in so many states. And if we want to measure that of Rivers State and that of, other northern states that we've seen, kidnaps of schoolgirls, kidnaps of children, banditry and what have you, don't you think that the president should call for a state of emergency in that state, knowing fully well that the lives and properties of people are at stake? But then we have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Daniel.
Good morning, Daniel.
From Jalingo. Thank you. Good morning, Maimuna and Kiyawa.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead with your thoughts.
So, my own thought is how we use power in Nigeria. You see, we normally say the problem of Nigerian democracy is the judiciary. This, what do you call it, the rule in the past concerning emergency rule. The day that Nigeria will have its own army, when I mean army, Idi Amin, when they begin to use that power, many governors cannot sit on their seat in this country. Because that precedence they are laying, I bet you the day we will have our army in this country, it should not be okay. Because I feel there's a lot of power in presidency. I've seen a situation that even if somebody wins election, they move him from number 4 to 1 using technicality in the court. That precedent has been laid. And I bet you one day, the same precedent they are laying now that the president has power, he will still use that power to bring somebody from number 10 now to first. I've seen a situation in this country where a president, because he's not in good page with some senators, after election, those people won, he used the same court we are having because of enough of power that they are having in the presidency, and the judges, they remove those people. Let me mention a few. People like this guy in Adamu, Senator Ishafi. People like Dino Malai. These are people that won the election clean. But because of the power of incumbency in the presidency, they manipulated it and removed those people through court. Honestly, the present judges in Nigeria are not helping matters. Most of these judges they are passing. One day, I pray they should stay and face it. Because the power is too much in the presidency. Let the governors and the president should be checking themselves like that. The same thing should be applied to local government chairman in local government. So they should be checking the governors. But the case is different. What they are doing, I'm telling you, this thing we are saying, the day we have our army, they will still use this law. Because most of what we are using, like in Taraba State, a former deputy governor was removed because of interest, using judges. Later, those interests were not met. They now bring back another. They now bring another different deputy governor as acting governor. Go back to court again because of personal interest. Use the presidency and remove the acting governor on a no basis. This is how we abuse power. These proceedings, I'm telling you, the day that we have our Idi Amin, you will have like 4, 5, 6 governors removed, and the president will be ruling those states from the Asura. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel, for calling in and sharing your thoughts. However, when you look at the Constitution, it does not, explicitly say that the president can remove an elected governor. But then I have one question. For example, in a situation where the governor of a state is being elected by the people.
In this case, he was not completely removed.
Yes. So, of course, that's the controversy and the debate surrounding it. So, I have a question to throw at you.
Your turn for the question.
Yes, I really
Go ahead.
can be able to answer that. In a situation, let's paint this scenario. In a situation whereby the people came out to vote for the governor of that state, and the president was not being elected by the people. We know what happens, behind the scene during an election. Do you think that that president has the moral ground to, intervene or interfere in the affairs of that state to the point of, declaring a state of emergency.
Well, now you said behind the scenes, but we'll get back to that. Let's take our next caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Abdullah Abubakar calling from Makurdi, Benue State, to back to the nation.
Good morning, Abdullah. Go ahead with your thoughts.
By the state of emergency in any state, because in order to avoid protect life and property when it became dangerous in that state. But that does not give away that any small crisis in the state, Mr. President, will intervene, put state of emergency. The judiciary, as they say, the matter in being in the court, we are waiting for the judiciary for the final verdict. And many people in the country are forcing judiciary on this matter because Mr. President did not follow due process. So, if anything like this matter that happens, if there's any emergency, life and property is losing, and they are waiting for the Senate to follow the process before acting. I think we lost so many lives in the state. What is happening, Mr. President has to be very, very careful in putting state of emergency in every state. Because there are so many states that have so many difficulties of which state of emergency is supposed to be deployed. But he has not done that, only in Rivers State. And now the issue has already gone. So my advice to Mr. President has to be very careful so that such things will not cause another chaos in another state. Because everybody has his own different mind and different policy. May Allah bless our country. May Allah bless our city. Allah bless Benue and the whole city.
Back to that question of yours. Yeah, exactly. Before we take our WhatsApp messages.
Please
now
go
you
ahead.
said behind the scenes. We know and understand that in Nigeria, as soon as the elections are done, people are being sworn in. Everything that happened behind the scenes are forgotten. And then we start to conduct ourselves exactly accordingly. Well, in retrospect. But looking at it, that it does not even have anything, I would say, to do with him being elected, whether it being straightforward or not. At the end of the day, he's already an elected governor. So no matter what it is, the Constitution works on him, the rule of law works on him, and anything surrounding it. So I believe behind the scenes has been dropped behind the scenes.
But do we really follow the Nigerian Constitution at the end of the day? Because when we see these issues, we go back to the Constitution, we see what the Constitution is rightly stating concerning that issue facing us. But at the end of the day, when we come to judging these issues and taking a decision, it's a total different ballgame altogether.
We pick and choose what suits us and then move ahead. But let's take our WhatsApp messages.
We have a couple of WhatsApp messages this morning. I'll take this one from Adamu Mohammed Usman. He's sending it from Kafin Hausa in Jigawa State. And he says, good morning, everyone. Well, I took part in yesterday's discussion of development projects in the 6 geopolitical zones, but my name just disappointed without being mentioned, and I don't know why. Sincere apologies for that. In which I used that opportunity to call and made an appeal to Jigawa Governor Mallam Umar Namadi on the Development Fund Committee he instituted in the state last week on Wednesday, being December 10th, 2025, as a replica to that of federal government to do the needful for the love of God. Then on the topic at the moment, I don't buy the idea for the president to have such powers, because how do we even fare at the moment? If the president has such powers, it will turn the country into maybe one-party state, and it can do as he wishes, since most of the Senate and House of Representative members dance to the Mr. President tone. Please, if there is any way how some powers can be reduced for the president, we canvass for that. Thank you, Adamu Mohammed Usman from Jigawa State, for sending in your message.
All right, next up, we have a message from Ibiasude Daniel Ibakba, and he said, yes, the Nigerian constitution gives the president the power to proclaim a state of emergency when there is a breakdown of public order and safety, or a clear and present danger to the nation or any part of it. Now, the Supreme Court confirmed that President Bola Tinubu acted within the authority when he declared an emergency in Rivers State. Thank you very much for that.
All right, we have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from? Kindly turn down the audio of your TV set, please. What's your name and where of your TV set, please? Hello, good morning.
Hello? Good morning, my name is Farida.
Please kindly turn down the audio of your TV set. Thank you for calling in, Papa. Please turn down the audio of your TV set so we can hear you clearly. Okay, we lost that caller. Please, when you call in, do well to turn down the audio of your TV set as a rule of engagement so we can hear you clearly.
We have another WhatsApp
message from Shelu Emmanuel Chuks, and he's sending this one in from Taraba State. He says, good morning. The president of Nigeria should have the power to stop any impending danger coming, especially when the governor is not able to handle the situation, not being autocratic. Remember, in time of emergency, the executive power grows and the rule of law recedes, because people can be exploited, tyrannized, oppressed by the superiors, where the strong do what they will and the weak suffer what they must. State of emergency should be done with caution. Thank you, Shelu Emmanuel from Taraba State.
We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Hauwa, Adamu, Kiyawa, and Maimuna, Bagudu. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
I'm Usman Satbaki, calling from Jamaica, Adamu State.
Good morning.
Usman. We're about to read your WhatsApp message, but go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hauwa, honestly speaking, a mistake has been done, or a mistake has been committed, right from the beginning. And that is those who frame the Constitution. They make a very big mistake by giving the president the supreme power over governors. And that will be detrimental to good governance. And if you have a president, if you are not lucky, we are not lucky to have a president that is serious-minded or can focus it, he will abuse that privileges that was given to him by that supreme power. Honestly speaking, this constitution needs to be framed. It has to be amended. There is nothing for the constitution or the country to give a supreme power to a president in total. Honestly, one Nigeria is not lucky to have a good partner. He may use that supreme powers to do and undo. And honestly, it will be detrimental to the fledgling democracy in Nigeria. You can see an example. If President Bola Tinubu wanted, he could have extended the declaration of emergency in Rivers State. But because of the ulubla and the outcry that made by people, especially those from Rivers State, making to happen. But honestly, I'm telling you, it is not in his vocabulary that he wanted to lift that emergency that he placed on Rivers State. It is because of the outcry of the generality of the people of the state. That's why President Tinubu was able to lift it. So if you are not lucky to have a president, or we have somebody who is very self-centered, he can use that supreme power and do whatever he likes with the governor. And by that time, we will realize that for somebody to even aspire to be governor is unfair. So honestly speaking, I am one of the advocates of those that seriously the National Assembly or members of the National Assembly should have everything and I made that constitution, not everything. You cannot give somebody a sweeping power. If you give somebody sweeping powers, you can do and do and kill and not.
All right, thank you very much for that.
All right, thank you very much for calling. And to everyone who called in, thank you for calling and sharing your thoughts and also sending in your WhatsApp messages. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll dive into our discussion segment where we'll be looking at the topic at hand. And no brother, we're having a guest who would, speak to us on this and help us make it, have sense at the end of the day. We'll be right back shortly.